I am your facilitator for this course, Lovett Ekweme. The course is LIS 107, Basic Computer Skills and Operating System. The topic for today's lecture is Concepts and Evolution of Computers. It is expected by the end of this lesson that you will know the meaning of computer. You can explain it to any person and then tell them or explain to other students how we started using computer, the development of the computer, which is from generation to generation. Thank you. The development of the computer, which is from generation to generation. Thank you. Concepts and evolution of computer. Objective: by the end of this lesson, you should be able to know, you should be able to define what computer is, explain some of the concepts used in the definition of computers, and then discuss the generation of a computer. Since you are a student learning from a distance, because of the nature of the university, which is open and distant learning, it is expected that you access your materials online wherever you are. What is the equipment you will use in accessing this reading material? It is either your desktop that is internet connected, your phones, your laptops that are internet connected. You can now read your material and source for other information online. Without the evolution of computers, this cannot be possible. That will bring us to the topic we have today, which is concept and evolution of computers. What then is computer? If you are asked to define what is a computer. Computer is an electronic device which accepts data, processes the data by converting the data into desired information needed by the user with great speed and accuracy. Computer can also be defined as an electronic machine that can be instructed to carry out sequence of arithmetic or logical operations automatically through computer programming. You might ask, what is this data that is being processed? The data is a collection of facts such as values or measurements. It can be numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be words like come, sit, dance, write. It can be in form of measurements, like when you measure your dress, when you measure your height. It can be an observation, what you have seen or events you have witnessed. You are now putting the data into the computer to come out as an information. What is information? Information is when that data you have inputted into the computers are processed and it has what? Meaning or communicates ideas to people. That is when you say this is what? A computer. What are the concepts we use in this definition? We talked about electronic device, electronic machine. Then what is a device? What is the electronic device? It means that it needs electric current, either direct current or alternating current to work. Without it, the computer cannot work. If you have a computer in your house, you didn't have lights, you don't even have alternative lights like your generator or inverter, and the computer is not charged, it cannot function. That is why we say this what? Electronic device. Then device is category into what? Devices of the computer. You have laptop, you have your mobile phones, you have your desktop, you have your iPad, calculators, and even television, name it. Then what is input? Because we said you have to input data into the computer. The input refers to sets of instruction or commands you have given to the computer that is supplied to the computer by a user to guide a specific system into a specific operation. The data that is set in is now doing what? Which is raw material of drive from a particular process or event. Such as we say maybe this exam, after the end of this lesson, this course, you have your exams, you have your TMA, all those scores you have gotten from this lesson, all of them are what we call data. And they can be do what? Processed with what? With our computer. Then when it is processed, it gives out results of that data. You will come and say, I have 100%. See my overall result. It is the output from the data that has been system. We want to find out how far we have understood this lesson, what a computer is, by answering or attending to these learners' activities. Based on the definition of computer, can you identify computers in these pictures? That will tell us, thank you, you got it right. That will now take us to computer evolution. We want to find out, since you can identify the computers in the diagram, we want to find out how did it come to existence. The computers we are using develop from one stage to the other. The stages are grouped into 5 generations, starting from 1940 to date. The first generation computer began in 1940 to 1950. Second generation computers was of 1950 to 1960. The third generation computers were 1960 to 1970. Then fourth generation computers 1970 to 80s, and then from 80s to 1990 and beyond. Even up till today, we are still in the generation computers. Then what are the characteristics of these computers? Each stage, each generation has its peculiarity and it has its own shortcomings, that as you remedy the shortcomings, it will now base to another generation. What are the characteristics of the first generation computers? They are very huge. They will even take as big as the space of a room, and they using what? They use this machine program languages, and to bring out their product, their outputs, it is what? Very slow, because it uses vacuum tubes and also uses magnetic drums for memory, making the memory, the storage, the memory capacity for the storage to be very low. So in a bid to solve this problem of being slow and then having low memory storage of capacity, led to the second generation computers. The second generation computers has its own characteristics. As you can see, they have vacuum tube, which was replaced by what? Transistors. The first generation had the what? The vacuum tubes, which was replaced by transistors. And because of the replacement of the vacuum tube with transistors, it increased the speed. And also to purchase it or to manage it becomes cheaper than the first generation computers, and they are what? Durable and easy to produce, unlike the first generation computer. Also, the second generation improved on the storage capacity, the memory storage capacity of the computer. But although it used punch cards for the as the first generation computer, the output was seen in what? Printouts, but still still generates heat just like the first generation computer, and the heat can do what? Damage the computer system. So there was still need to find how to solve these problems witnessed in the second generation computers. That led to the invention of the third generation computers in 1960 to 70s. That's the era of mini computers, and their characteristics is that the size of the computers now became reduced because they use what? Integrated circuits, and also the transistors increased the speed and the efficiency of the computers, and also the storage memory was increased in the third generation computers instead, unlike the first and the second. And it has what? A high level programming language. Many applications can now run at the same time, and the computer became what? Smaller and cheaper for people to buy, unlike the first and the second generation computers. The fourth one, after the first, second, we have the third and the fourth generation computers that started in 1970 to 80s. They had their own characteristics. They were using microchips for central processing units, which helped in reducing the size of the computers. Their memory also, unlike the first, second, and the third. We now started using what we call the mouse and the handheld devices like a palm top. We are also developed this stage, and then the size of the computer became what? Very, very small, and it is now linked with what? Networks, and that led to the development of the internet that all of us are enjoying now. People became From there, people now come to aware of the computers because of what you can use the internet in doing, unlike before when there was no internet. The awareness on the computers and the usage increase, so people had the urge to buy computers, unlike the first, second, third generation computers. Then from the fourth one, we now moved on to the fifth generation computers, which is 1980 till date. Now, one thing is that the speed of the computers now increase, and they became what? Smaller. Not only that they're smaller, we had the hardware and software ware applications. And the new one that is still developing is based on what? Artificial intelligence, use of robots. Then there is increase in the storage capacity. And then the devices respond to what? Natural language inputs and voice recognition being used today. Hope you understand. Or do you have any question? If you don't have any question, let's do our class activity. One, outline three difference between outline three differences between the and first generation computers and the fifth generation computers. Then define in your own word what computer is. From your understanding of computer, define what computer is. after doing the assignments, I'm going to give you my email link where you will now send your assignments. So let's do the summary of the lesson. In this lesson, we have learned about what computer is, which is a device that accepts data, processes the data, converts the data into information, which is displayed for our use. And we have also learned the computer generation, which was grouped into 5. We are now looking on for the 6th generation computers. I hope you will be part of the development of the 6th generation computers. Until we meet again, peace. Bye.